This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network and the Talkstar Radio Network. If you'd like to give us a call, 1-800-610-7035. That is toll-free worldwide. My email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv at hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Douglas DeLong. He is a medical intuitive, spiritual teacher, counselor, chakra master, and past life therapist. He has written 2 books distributed internationally on the subjects of ancient healing, spirituality, and psychic development. Both of his books have been published in several languages, including Russian, Portuguese, Czech, and most recently, traditional Chinese characters. Now, born with the ability to see human auras, chakras, spirit guides, and angels, Douglas has been reading books about psychic and metaphysical subjects since he was a child. His stepfather's profession and family on a steady move while he was growing up, and eventually his ability started to wane from the lack of use. It wasn't until he had a near-death experience at the age of 19 that he reawakened his childhood gifts. And joining me now from Saskatchewan, Canada, is Douglas DeLong. And Douglas, welcome back to the X-Zone. Great having you back with us after all this time.
Great being back in your show. I haven't been on your show for several years.
Well, you've been away. You and I were talking earlier this morning, and you were in Maui for a while.
Yeah, I was teaching some courses there and having private sessions. So we were there for a couple of weeks, kind of a working vacation.
Working vacation. Now, Douglas, what was that near-death experience you had at the age of 19 that reawakened your gifts?
Well, when I was 19, I had some bowel surgery, and I ended up with the surgery as in extreme pain, and the incisions blew open, but I was in intensive care, and I was in incredible pain. And then one night while I was lying there, I could feel a tug, and I felt my consciousness move down to my solar plexus, and then that floating out of my body, and I floated out towards where the male nurse was, floated over top of him, and I could see him reading the newspaper in the sports section. I couldn't understand why he couldn't see me. Then I floated around behind, and there was these glass cubicles with patients in, and I floated above one, and this man lying there opened his eyes, smiled at me, and waved. So I was trying to figure out why he could see me, but the male nurse couldn't. But the next day, that fellow died, so he must have been more receptive. I floated down the hall, and I ended up shooting through the roof of the hospital, and I ended up headed towards the light. It's almost like watching Star Trek. We see all these lights flash by. And as I headed towards this big bright light, I had 2 angels or 2 beings of light stop me and told me it wasn't my turn, it wasn't my time. And I could see people or something off in the distance, and I really, really wanted to go there, but I couldn't. So they turned me around. I ended up coming back into the hospital, floated above my body, and I was looking at this sickly 19-year-old kid, and I didn't want to go back into the body. So in my soul form, I put my hands out and tried to actually stop myself from going in. And unfortunately, I ended up back in the body, and my heartbeat had sped up, and the male nurse came over that time, checked everything, and he gave me something for pain. And I wasn't supposed to live, but I did.
Right.
And after that point, I started getting back or more onto the spiritual path. And I guess that's had a very profound effect on me.
Douglas DeLong is my special guest this hour. Exonation, and Douglas and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break. Doug, stand by. Exonation, for more information on our friend Douglas DeLong from Saskatchewan, Canada, his website is www.douglasdelong.com. That's DouglasDelong.com. That's www.douglasdelong.com. This is the X Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network and the X Zone Broadcast Network. Once again, our email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. Douglas DeLong and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute commercial break as we continue from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. DeLong is our special guest to this hour, Exonation. His website is www.douglasdelong.com. That's DouglasDelong.com. Douglas, where has your quest or your crusade in the metaphysical taken you, and how has it changed your life?
Well, my quest was to help other people open up, develop their psychic and spiritual abilities, and it's taken me on a path where my wife and I have traveled all over North America helping and teaching others, and we worked with people that were dying, that had cancer, and helping them to be able to become more at peace when they decide to cross over. That's one of the blessings we've had, and we've watched as a lot of people have developed and grown with their abilities. And also, on the path, I've been able to communicate with angels and spirit guides, especially at nighttime. I'll wake up and I'll see somebody there. So it's been an interesting path.
What was it like the first time that you actually saw an angel? And can you describe what they look like to us?
Okay. Well, when I was a kid, I used to wake up and I'd see someone floating beside my bed. There used to be a woman, very pretty, and she'd have on like gold coins across her forehead, and she'd be reaching down, stroking my hair, smiling at me, a beautiful woman, and I'd get scared. I'd pull the covers up around my head, and I'd look, pull the covers down, and then she'd disappear. So that was the first I saw, and then disappeared until after I had my near-death experience, and I started waking up and seeing her again, and I'd see angels. I guess when I see angels, I'll see them almost like looking at a person, but they look ethereal. You can see through them. And some of them will have wings, or some are just white beings of light. And it's really beautiful. Sometimes I'll wake up and there'll be a beautiful angel with blondish hair, ethereal. You can see right through her. And she'll just be stroking my hair, or she'll put her hands on my chest if I've got problems with my lungs. So,
when did you decide to open up the Ancient Mystery School, Doug?
About 15 years ago, my wife and I decided to just start the school up, and it's been going ever since then. And then I wrote my first book about 10 years ago. But we started the courses in the school 15 years ago.
And Douglas, are you seeing more and more people opening up to the ancient mysteries, as well as opening up to the entire metaphysical genre?
Oh, yeah. More and more people all over the place. Years ago, back in the 80s, there's only so many books and so many people into this type of work, and now everybody's getting into it. And there's a lot of people taking and teaching Reiki classes, energy healing, alternative touch, all sorts of programs like that. But we have more and more people exploring and developing their psychic and spiritual abilities. So it is awakening. It's growing dramatically.
How would you teach someone, Douglas, how to do healings if they didn't realize that they had the ability, but they wanted to try? Is it very hard for somebody to learn?
Oh, no. Everybody has some type of innate healing ability stored within, and you can open it up. My wife and I, or Carol, will work at their hands, getting a person to be able to pull healing energy through the hands and into a person's body. And I also teach people how to see or sense the energy and the colors around individuals. But there's certain techniques where you can affect the brain to open up the crown and the third eye chakras in the head area, and that will help the person develop more of their gifts or more of their abilities. And that's one of the things I do. If I can open up someone's crown, it'll affect those areas of the brain, and they start seeing and sensing higher vibrations of energy.
What is it like when a student who has never experienced the opening up of this chakra, and they're actually able for the first time, the very first time, to understand what you're trying to tell them?
Well, it's great. A lot of them will feel a tingling sensation all over their head, and they'll feel this rush of positive energy through their body. And some people start crying because it feels wonderful. And then some individuals will actually look and start seeing the aura and the energy field around people. It's really great to see that. And then some people will start being able to see angels and working with their spirit guides and developing more and more of their gifts. Everybody opens up differently, and we all have our key gifts that we're supposed to use.
It's like a rebirth.
In some way, yeah. It's really great. I'll just watch and the person will get tingling all over the top of their head. And because I can see the colors, I'll watch these beautiful lights, blues and green colors flowing down across their face and down through their body. It's really a cool experience for me to watch it. It's like watching colors of the rainbow.
How can your courses, Douglas, that you offer on your website at www.douglasdelong.com, how can they help our listeners in their day-to-day life?
Well, they're great at helping you to work with stress reduction. I teach techniques to help you let the energy flow through your body to reduce the stress and to send healing in and to open up more of your gifts and abilities. But I have a correspondence course that's available too. And in the correspondence course, I go through techniques to open up your crown and third eye. And a lot of the ancient mysteries are discussed in that as well. Plus, sometimes I do a lot of phone sessions. People phone and I train them to soul travel and to work with their own chakras and the energy. And sometimes I'll also do past life regression work with a phone person.
What is soul traveling, Douglas?
Well, soul travel is the same as astral travel, out-of-body experience.
Okay.
And basically, it happens. Everybody does it. Most people aren't aware of it. When you fall asleep, your soul will slip out of your body. Your soul will flip around the room, and then it'll actually go up towards heavenly fields. And you can go up there, you can visit healing temples, talk to people that have passed over, angels, spirit guides, go to teaching temples. And if you get really good at it, you can also learn how to heal in your soul form, to actually go out and do healing on an individual.
Is there any possibility that while your soul is back out in its free state, that it may not return to your body?
The only time that will happen is if you're really, really sick and close to dying. Sometimes you'll slip out and you won't come back, but that's the only time it will happen. Normally, you'll fall asleep and your soul will slip back in the body, just in the regular way. It's only when you're close to dying that your soul starts to slip out and has a hard time getting back in. That usually happens because of this nous or spirit energy that is within the body. It's dissipating and leaving, and it's not working as a magnet to keep the soul within the physical form. So when that happens, your soul leaves, and hence you die. But you have to remember, most people are afraid of death, and they shouldn't be. If you're not afraid to fall asleep, then you shouldn't be afraid to die, because it's the same process. Just that with the sleep process, you actually come back into the body.
Douglas, what happens to us after we die?
Well, my belief, and I'm fairly certain of it, you go up to heaven and you reassess your life that you had here.
Mm-hmm.
You perhaps go into a place where they teach you. You do some healing work, and you're just up there for a while, sort of relaxed, heal, to learn. And you have guides and angels and loved ones that have passed over up there with you. And then when you're ready, you make a decision to come back down. And it's like a group, a hierarchy of these angels, your spirit beings, will help you and set up a certain place for you to be reborn. Perhaps you'll come back as a woman, perhaps you'll come back in a different country or whatever. And the reason you do that, it's almost like a contract you sign. You come back for your greatest soul growth. And I believe right at this point in time, all of us on this planet are having our greatest soul growth because of the amazing things that are happening right now.
Is there ever a time when the spirit says, look, that's it, I've had enough, I really don't want to go back right now, I want to take 1 or 2 millennium off, I need my rest? Does that happen, or is it a constant, you come to this body, you do what you need to get done, you do your lesson, you go back, you regenerate, and then you come back? Isn't there ever any peace?
Well, I always believe you can have a peaceful time up there. Just relax and take it easy, and when you're ready to come back, you'll set everything up and come back properly. But you can have peace up there, and sometimes when you come back each lifetime, not all of them are going to be difficult. Sometimes you'll have a really peaceful, pleasant lifetime. It will be one that you truly enjoy. So it doesn't always have to be traumatic and painful.
Do we associate with the same people that we associate with in this lifetime, in the other lifetimes that we have?
Oh, yeah. When I do past life regression work, a lot of people will pick someone from a past life that they recognize now. We oftentimes will come back in soul groups and families. Sometimes if someone's been your brother in this lifetime, perhaps the lifetime before, he was your father. And you come back in family groups, soul groups, over and over. And you get to the point, even with relationships, especially with relationships, you'll come back and you know, okay, no, I no longer need to be with this individual. I've learned my mistakes, break that karmic bond, and you move on. So that's one of the greatest things that will happen. And sometimes you meet someone that's, if you want to look at it as your soulmate, you'll come back with and have a wonderful lifetime together.
All right, Douglas, please stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation, Douglas DeLong is our special guest of this final hour of tonight's show. www.douglasdelong.com. That's www.douglasdelong.com. Douglas and I will return on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X-Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And on MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And of course, our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome back, everyone. Douglas DeLong is our special guest. He is a medical intuitive, spiritual teacher, counselor, chakra master, and past life therapist. His website is www.douglasdelong.com. That's DouglasDelong.com. Douglas, a lot of people have past life regression, and what is the purpose? Why do so many people want to know what has happened in their past lives, and how does that help them in their present life?
Well, if you look at your past lives, you can heal problems from them. And as you do, you make this lifetime better and you have a better future. For instance, some people have health conditions. They can't figure out where it's coming from. And if they go through a regression, they'll find out they injured their back, they fell off of a mountain or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And as they come out of the regression, they'll start to heal, the pain will release. And then, so it can be used for physical healing, emotional healing, figure out relationships, sometimes even getting gifts and skills you had in past life coming through now. So there's many reasons for it. And if you explore your past life, it just gives you more of an understanding of who you are now. It all comes together and makes sense.
How many lives can you actually go back when you're taking somebody through past life regression?
Well, I have two things that will happen. A person will either have a traditional regression whereby they're in one lifetime going through from start to finish,
Mm-hmm.
or they'll get flashes, or sometimes a person will go through one lifetime and they'll flip over to another lifetime. They'll get 3 or 4. I've had people go up to as much as 5 or 6 past lives coming through. But normally it's the last few lifetimes that seem to matter the most, and they come through the strongest.
Now, you and I were talking before the break how when we die, we go back and, we rejuvenate, we kind of look at what we've done and then decide to come back. If we do this, why wouldn't we know when we went back, when we came back to do our next life cycle that, we were, let's say, a blacksmith back in the 1800s near Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, for example? Wouldn't this recall be familiar to us?
Not necessarily. I've progressed well over 1,500 people in the last 20 years, and when you're born, there's a veil that comes down and seems to block the past. Not everybody has it, but most people do.
Mm-hmm.
But you can, through regression work and meditation and opening up your psychic abilities, be able to lift that veil a bit and start getting some past life information. But let's say you decided to go for a trip to Pennsylvania and you went through Gettysburg, and it felt familiar to you. So that would be you tuning into that past life. That will happen that way. Or you watch a movie about ancient Rome and
Mm-hmm.
something seems familiar. So that's how it opens up as well.
How long does it actually take for you to be able to get a person to the state where they can actually start recalling their past life?
Probably takes me about 10 to 15 minutes, whether I do it in person or I do it by a phone session. I do a technique, a chant to relax the person, opens up the crown, and then I do energy work, getting this chi or energy to flow up and down through the body. That relaxes the person greatly. From that point, I can then guide them with an angel or a spirit guide to start going and getting past life information. But it usually takes about 10 or 15 minutes of preparatory work and then getting them to move along. Now, everybody's different, though. Some people are what stage hypnotists look for, really suggestible, quite easy, and they just go into deep states very, very quickly. And not everybody's like that, but if you are, it's more of a benefit to you because you can get under easier and start experiencing more. But you can work at it and be able to get to that point. A lot of people will see things, some people will smell. And smell is probably the strongest psychic sense that we have. I've had people through the regression that will smell incense or fire or perfume or whatever.
So when you're taking a person back to a past life, do they start reliving that past life? Are they back in their very skin that they were in during that past life?
Depends how deep you go. Some people go into a very deep past life where they're literally right there, seeing it and feeling it and experiencing it, just like they open up the doors and they're reliving the whole experience. Then there's others that seem to stand back and they watch and they observe. So it just depends how deep you go. And sometimes a person will go very, very deep and they'll end up having a death scene and someone stabs them or they're burnt or they're hung. And it can be quite traumatic. It's like they're right there. It could have happened 200 years ago, but they're still feeling and seeing it. So it just depends. For me, I get visions. I'm almost standing there as an observer seeing it. So it just depends on the individual.
Exonation, Douglas DeLong is our special guest. His website is www.douglasdelong.com. That's DouglasDelong.com. Douglas, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your book, Ancient Teachings from the Beginnings, or For Beginners,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yep. I've got 2 books out now. The first one, of course, is Ancient Teachings for Beginners. And it's a complete course in opening up your psychic and spiritual abilities, being able to see and understand auras, talking, working with angels and spirit guides, and just developing your spiritual and psychic gifts. And that's my first book. There's an interesting chapter. The last one is quite interesting. If you pick the book up and get into the last chapter, it talks about Jesus in his last days, and it's quite interesting. I was just given that information when I was in an altered state, and also recalling a past life and seeing these events. So I put that into the first book. And my second book, Ancient Healing Techniques, is psychic and spiritual development. It's a course, but it's more advanced for someone that actually is working in the healing field. They can use a lot of these courses, a lot of these techniques to open up their gifts and abilities.
Now, you also have a CD that's available at your website at www.douglasdelong.com. It's called Ancient Initiation and Angel Meeting Meditation Recording. Tell us about that one.
Okay, that's about just under a half hour long. It's basically the same way I do it when someone has a phone session or comes to me for a one-on-one session. I'll do this chant, a May chant, towards the person's head and get them relaxed, and then I guide them with energy flowing up and down through their bodies, and then I get them to see their angels, and the angel comes to them and wraps her arms around them and hugs them, and from there I just let them feel the peace and sometimes get information. But as I said, it's just under a half hour long, and it's a guided meditation. It's very quick. It's not like slow guided meditations you get where you take forever. It's done fast in order to get people to get the energy flowing through their bodies very quickly. When that happens, you get very relaxed and you start to be able to slip out of your body, to start the astral travel and getting information. And a lot of people, when they do that, they'll actually start getting past life recall too.
Douglas, in the Ancient Mystery School, you talk about, well, of course, the ancient mysteries. And why are people in today's society, the 20th century, the 21st century, still interested in the ancients? What's the connection?
Well, if you can look at the ancient times, you can bring some of that knowledge and wisdom through and use it in your lifetime. And if you can master these techniques, you'll achieve a lasting spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. So that's what we're all searching for. We want to make something out of our life, a purpose, a reason for it, and make it a better life. If you can take these ancient mysteries, this knowledge, and put it to good use now, you could help yourself and others with those gifts.
So instead of looking for the future, look in the past to secure your present to make a better future.
Exactly. You can just take the healing wisdom of the ancient world and put it into your modern life.
What is your take, Douglas, on December the 21st, 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar? There are those people that believe with all their heart that it's the end of the world. The cosmic alignment is going to destroy the earth. It's going to be the return of Nibiru. It's going to be the time as depicted in the book of Revelations. How do you see it, Douglas, based on your experience?
Well, one, I see 2012 as just simply the Mayan calendar starting up again, rebooting. And basically, I think of 2012 as people becoming more enlightened, more open up, instead of the end of the world, making it a better world, working to create a heaven on earth. And that's where I'm seeing it. And a lot of people I talk to believe the same thing. The apocalypse and all the revelations, all the heavy stuff, I really don't believe that's going to happen. I think we have a potential to make it a much better place. And I think after 2012 it'll be even better.
I believe, and this is my own belief, Douglas, that December 21st, 2012 will be the rebirth of spirituality, that finally a light is going to go on in people's, above their heads, and they're going to say, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. That's my belief.
Now, when you're doing past life regression, I just would like to ask you this before we have to go to our break in a couple of minutes. do people always come back to this planet, or do they ever end up in other planets being other species?
I've regressed, as I said, well over 1,500 people in over 20 years, and I think I've only had one or two that have past lives where they're on a previous planet. But mostly they seem to stay here. At least that's been my experience. And as I said, there's been just a few that have actually recalled a past life in some other planet. So it seems to be a rare situation.
In the years doing what you do, Douglas, teaching people about the spiritual world and the world of metaphysics, as well as being a medical intuitive and spiritual teacher, what has been the one time that you have been totally baffled, shocked, just in awe?
I've had one time when a client, a young lady, was dying from cancer. She came home from the hospital, and Carol and I went over to her place, did a session on her, and I watched as she relaxed, fell asleep, or got into an altered state, and her soul came out of her body, and it literally floated up above her, turned over, and her soul form was looking down at her physical form. And that happened for about 15 minutes through the session, and that just blew me out of the water. It was just the most incredible thing to see. And the second time it happened was when a client of ours was passing over. She had cancer. She was lying in her bed, and when we walked into the room where she was, there was a beautiful angel at the top of her head with his hands on her head. And there's just beautiful light around them. And that's the two times it's happened to me.
When do the angels come to you? Are they always around us?
Well, they're always around us, but sometimes we're not aware of it. We get busy with work and computers and everything else. So we don't shut down that side of ourselves. But when you get relaxed, you realize that they're always around you. You have different guides and angels that come in and out of your life. And you always have your guardian angel that's been there since you were born. But normally for me, when I'm doing sessions with people, I'll pick up an angels and guides, or I'll see a form floating in the room, or 2 or 3 ethereal shapes. And when I'm sleeping, I'll wake up and I'll see an angel floating at the foot of my bed, or a woman, that woman with the gold coins floating in front of me too. And that's the way it happens for me.
So our guardian angels are with us since birth. Now, what's the difference between a spirit guide and a guardian angel?
Well, spirit guides have been people in previous lifetimes, and they come back and they'll come actually down while they're in between lives and work as a guide to help someone, to guide them. Possibly if they're new, they're just watching and learning from the experience. And they'll work in that situation. They will do similar things to angels, but an angel is actually a different order or a different being or species, whatever you want to call it. And they will work together, but they are two entirely different groups. So
we have more than just our friends and our families looking out for our best interest. We also have angels and spirit guides.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes you may have someone that's very good with business will come into your life, a spirit guide that will help you and guide you. Or in the case of Carol, she works with someone that's a healing guide that will come in and work on a client. As a person's lying on the table, Carol's working on them, and the person will also feel other hands working on them at the same time. So that's how they will work. And they'll come into your lives, and something will happen, they'll leave, and some other guide will come in to take over. And as you raise your vibrations, you start working with higher spirit guides and higher beings of light. And it's just what it's supposed to be all about. And I also believe a lot of people have the ability to work with Jesus and a lot of these other figures that were around thousands of years ago.
Douglas, stand by, young man. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exonation Douglas DeLong has been our guest this hour. Douglas and I will return on the other side of this break. His website is www.douglasdelong.com. That's www.douglasdelong.com. We'll be back on the other side of this break, and we'll take a recap on tonight's show and finish off with our good friend Douglas DeLong. Once again, his website is www.douglasdelong.com. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. And welcome back, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking all our guests tonight. Catherine Frompovich and I talked about the hijacking of DNA. Dr. Antonia Martinez and I talked about her psychic abilities and her psychic life. Psychic medium Mark Anthony was our guest in hour number 3. He is known as the Psychic Lawyer. And our good friend Douglas DeLong from Saskatchewan has been my guest this hour. His website is www.douglasdelong.com. That's douglasdelong.com. Now, tell us about your school. Where can people go to register? When do your courses start? And how long does it take to complete a course?
Okay, well, we have correspondence courses available. Of course, I do phone sessions. My wife does it as well. And you can just register online or phone us at our toll-free number 1-866-342-0346. And normally a class takes 2 days. I teach an Ancient Healing Level 1 class that's based on my first book. It's a reference tool. And then I also teach a Level 2 course that's based on the second book, Ancient Healing Techniques. So we have all that available. We have people fly in from all over to take classes. And again, sometimes I can teach some of the stuff over the phone and by email. So if you can't make it here, there's other alternatives that you can look at.
We have about a minute and a half left, Douglas. What would you like to leave the X-Zone Nation with tonight?
Well, I like to say, if you can look into your psychic and spiritual abilities, you can do so much. You can help others. And what I'm trying to do is get people to open up, become more enlightened. As you become more enlightened, you can help others, touch other souls, and make this a much better planet. And if you do get the opportunity, consider picking up. If you haven't read my books, consider picking them up. I think you'll enjoy them. And if anybody ever wants to contact me, they can contact us by our email, mysteryschool@sasatel.net. But my goal is to help people open up and make it a better world.
Are you seeing a big difference in the way that people are looking at each other and looking at the world, Douglas?
Yeah, from when I started doing my stuff over 20 years ago, there's been a major shift. There's all these people opening up and a lot more of a spiritual nature. And people are looking for a spiritual path to follow. And it's a great change. It's good to see all that going on. I just hope it continues.
As always, Douglas, great talking to you. Look forward to the next time you and I meet here in the X-Zone. Until we do, give our listeners your website one more time.
DouglasDeLong.com. That's www.douglasdelong.com.
Douglas, thanks a lot, my friend. Take care of yourself, and please, my very best to Carol.
Great, thank you. You take care, too.
I will, my friend. Douglas DeLong, www.douglasdelong.com. Well, that's it for tonight, everyone. Once again, to all our listeners around the world, across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, Asia, Africa, Europe. Thank you for spending your time with us here in the X-Zone. And as I always say, if you have a child at home, give them a hug, give them a kiss. Let them know they are loved, because the children of today are the leaders of tomorrow. So until tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, always X-Zone Nation, keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.